I made a list of this year's presidential candidates and rudely ranked them from best to worst. Here's my list. Yes, all these people really are running or about to run, including some you've probably never heard of, like Lawrence Lessig. I admit that my list isn't scientific. I'm a libertarian. It's probably unfair that I gave a lower ranking to candidates like my former colleague Mike Huckabee, Chris Christie, and others who explicitly denounce libertarians. I take that personally. It makes me think they are clueless about what government really does. But basically, I rank the candidates on how much they want to micromanage our lives or involve us in dubious foreign wars. Those who do lost points, those who recognize the harm often done by state control, gain points. I also gave one candidate bonus points just for shaking things up by being politically incorrect. You know who that is.
Our leaders are stupid. Our politicians are stupid.
Yeah, he really said some things that really make sense. And I love his willingness to speak his mind, but it's absurd to think that Mexico will fund construction of a giant wall on its border. And I want an America that trades with the world and brings the message of free markets and liberty to every part of the population. I like Marco Rubio's speech about his parents coming to America so they could have what we have.
You know, both of my parents were born into poor families on the island of Cuba. They came to America because it was the only place where people like them could have a chance.
So good. But unfortunately, he and other Republicans are big on banning things: gambling, drugs, gay marriage. And like Hillary, they seem eager to get America into more wars.
Radical Islam is on the rise. Iran's on the verge of acquiring a nuclear weapon. China is waging cyber warfare against America.
So we're going to go to war against all of them? Please, no. War should be a last resort. I'd really like, for a change, to see a president who is humble, who recognizes the limits of state power. The many ways command and control goes bad. That's something Donald Trump and Hillary do not understand. Hillary says this about her Republican opponents.
If you look at their policies, most of the other candidates are just Trump without the pizzazz or the hair.
Ha ha ha. But that's not true. Many of this year's Republican candidates are serious people proposing serious policy changes. And a couple are very different because they acknowledge the harm that government often does.
I don't want my marriage or my guns registered in Washington.
Sadly, during that first debate, Rand Paul didn't seem all that likable, and he's fallen in the polls since. Maybe former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson will catch on with voters once he announces. He also wants government to do less. If only more politicians believe that, but most don't. So vote for Gary or Rand, please. And I just posted my candidate list at johnstossel.com. I'd love to know what you think. Tell me where I'm wrong or where I'm right. I realize that it's not likely that next year will bring us President Rand Paul or Gary Johnson. Odds are we'll get another career politician who wants to control everyone's life. But fortunately, presidents don't determine most of what goes on in our lives. People say, who's going to run the country? The media say that, but that's ridiculous. Politicians just run the government. The important stuff in life, friendships we form, products that fill our homes, books, videos, and music we consume, language we use, the way we worship, the stuff of life, almost all of that happens thanks to free markets and individual initiative, independent of who's president or senator or governor. We run America, they don't. Let's not forget that.